In a year of climate disasters, world leaders have fallen well short of the science. Time is fast running out to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees. Yet the COP27 summit failed to agree stronger cuts to carbon emissions, and proposals to phase out all fossil fuels were blocked.
But let's be clear, our planet is still in the emergency room. We need to drastically reduce emissions now, and this is an issue this COP did not address.
The planet is heading for a temperature rise of 2.7 degrees, making irreversible tipping points like the collapse of the Greenland ice sheet more likely. For climate scientists, there is deep frustration.
What they don't understand is how urgent this is. The change impacts if we are warming the globe on average, and there are many parts of the world which will not be on average, to 1.5 or 2 is a vastly different change. To people, to ecosystems, to our crops, to our water supplies. The cost of not doing something now will result in hugely larger costs later.
There is the consolation, though, of a breakthrough on a fund for loss and damage to poor countries that have done little to cause the climate crisis but are suffering most from the impacts. So how might a loss and damage fund work? Well, rich countries like the UK, EU, United States and others would put money in the tin, and it would pay out to poorer countries like Pakistan or island states like the Maldives, who could be submerged by rising sea levels. But arguments remain over countries still officially classed as developing, despite having comparative wealth, like China, currently the world's biggest greenhouse gas polluter, and the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia that are major sources of fossil fuels. Whether they put money in won't be decided until next year's climate conference.
It was very important that this fund was established. As I say, developing countries have been calling for this for 30 years. There has been these talks are, beleaguered by a lack of trust across the board, not least because developed countries have promised finance again and again and again, and they haven't delivered on that finance.
The next climate conference will be in the United Arab Emirates, one of the world's biggest producers of oil and gas. Europe and the UK will once again push hard to keep 1.5 degrees alive, but just as they did in Egypt, they are likely to face a strong headwind from the fossil fuel lobby. Thomas Moore, Sky News.